Welcome to Startup Hack. Today we'll be continuing our series on the coding for entrepreneurs. I'm a startup founder and a developer, and I know the perfect balance between the two. So I'm doing a series of coding tutorials that will include easy projects to startups to make it easier for you to start your business and build the things that you need. Or if you're just learning so that you can more efficiently manage developers and or contractors, great. No matter what the reason for learning to code, I know that you'll never regret it and it'll only make your business better. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Startup Hack. My name is Spencer Tomlinson. I am the CEO and co-founder of CleanRouter as well as many other products. Here are some lessons that I've learned building a successful business while challenging startup norms. My challenge is to push you to rethink startup success. Welcome to Startup Hack. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So today the tutorial is going to kind of follow up on yesterday's tutorial, and it'll teach you the basics of building a real-time app using SignalR with Blazor. Now, you're going to create a Blazor project, and then use SignalR to create the client library, to create a hub, and then to do the communications between the two. Now, let's talk a little bit about what Blazor is. So Blazor is an interactive web UI that works with C#. Blazor lets you build interactive web UIs using C# instead of JavaScript. Blazor apps are composed of reusable web UI components implemented using C#, HTML, and CSS. Both client and server code is written in C#, allowing you to share code and libraries. Blazor is a feature of ASP.NET, the popular web development framework that we've been talking about here in the series, and it extends the .NET developer platform with tools and libraries for building apps. Now, one of the nice things about running Blazor is that it runs WebAssembly on both in the browser or on the server. So Blazor can run your client C# code directly in the browser using WebAssembly. Because it's a real .NET running on WebAssembly, you can reuse the code and libraries from server-side parts of your application. Alternatively, Blazor can run your client logic on the server. Client UI events are sent back to the server using SignalR, a real-time messaging framework. Once execution completes, the required UI changes are sent to the client and merged into the DOM. So I'm going to leave a link down below, so if you need to learn a little bit more about Blazor, you can go read up on some of the documentation. But enough talk, let's go ahead and dive in and get ready for how we're going to do this. So yesterday we talked a little bit about and showed our chat application. And so we showed how to get things started and where to set up everything with your program.cs. So if you have any questions on that, just go jump into go follow, sign up, subscribe to the channel, because you should always subscribe to the channel anyways. But go subscribe to the channel and take a view at yesterday's video, and it'll go through how we got everything set up. And then you see your chat hub, which we'll leave. We're going to take our breakpoints off of here for today. And we went through all of these pieces yesterday, so you can see a really good working chat example from yesterday. Now today we're going to go through a counter app, and we're going to also go and show how we can fetch data using Blazor, on both sides. It's really easy to mistake that one, to mess that up, because we have both Razor and Blazor, and in this case we have them both in the same project. So I'm going to hit play here and fire up the browser, which will get things started here. Browser's taking a second to pull up. All right, so this was the chat application that we did yesterday. First, we want to go through this example. And so this is, I think, about as simple of an example as you can get using Blazor. So what we're, let's keep that guy full screen here. So what we're going to show here is that, every time you click this, it increments this number. So again, this is about as simple as you get, because here's the Razor page, which allows you to just do very, very simple inline. So of course we do our @code, which opens up our code block. Make this a little bit bigger here. We're going to do our @code, which will make us, which opens up that. We have our current count, which is just a global variable to that class. And then we have our increment count, which is just a function on that. So every time we click the button, then you can see the HTML with on click, and it will wire this up. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this is you'll see that if we go and view source, let me make this a little bit bigger. It's actually going to run the WebAssembly, so you can actually see the Blazor running up here. So this is actually what's executing the code, not JavaScript on the page. So you notice there's a couple of scripts down here, but none of this actually ends up into JavaScript code. So that's where we see things that are really different. So this is actually running as WebAssembly on modern browsers. So as we click this, and we can pause this right here with our breakpoint, with our super large breakpoint. And every time we click this, it increments. So obviously this is about as basic, simple hello world example as you can get. But the interesting part about this again is that, no, we're not seeing any inline JavaScript, but it's just the Blazor that's actually doing the work here. So very interesting to see that at work. Now let's go through a data fetch example here. So you can see that this just fetches some example. Doesn't even do it real time. It's actually just pulling this data. But where is it pulling from? So let's go take a look here at our code. So when we fire up this code here, you can see that we have the page title. You can see that it's using this Blazor, this data app. And so, so let's take a look here and see where our data is coming from. So we have this data hub. Okay, so you can see that we're using the data, this namespace here. So we're using this namespace, and then we're injecting the weather forecast service. And so with the weather forecast service, then these are your standard HTML tags. But then you can now see this inline code. So we see our @ and then we see if the forecast is null, then it shows the loading. Else, gives us all of the different information, and then it loops over the forecasts and grabs the forecast for each one of these forecast loop. And so we can take a look at these, and let's go ahead and stick a breakpoint in here. So we're going to hit a breakpoint on this, and let's go ahead and reload that page again. So we've hit our debugger back here in the back, and you can see that now it's pulling each of these forecasts. So if we go into the definition here, you can see that the forecasts on a init, it's going to go and get all the forecasts async. So let's go over here. And this is our get forecast async. And this is going to return the results from our static array that we have up here. And so this is simulating as, just any type of data source that we're getting from the back end. And so this is just going to loop over those and do some different calculations. It's going to generate some random temperatures so that we get a different result every single time. But then this is going to return this. So this is normally how you do this, and it would do this return. And then after, it's going to loop through each of these and build out the table. So get rid of my breakpoint here so that it'll run. And there we go. So every time we load this, you can see that they change, right? Because it's randomizing this. So, while this may not seem all that impressive, this is actually hitting every single layer. So we have our presentation layer in the UI here with Blazor, with HTML and, a mix of HTML and Blazor. Then you have your service layer, which is, your controller layer, which is calling into the get forecast async. And so when we go to that, this then makes that call to the get forecast async. And then this is our service layer, which is going to do this. And generally, you would then have kind of a repo layer to hit into the database. So this is the overall steps to all of these. And so again, all of this is in the code sample. So make sure you go grab that code down from the GitHub repository. The link's down in the description below, right next to the subscribe button if you haven't already hit that button. And this, we just try to provide you great little code samples. And this one's a great code sample to kind of round out our learning around Blazor. So if you find that you really like Blazor, I personally don't know that I'll ever use it. I think it's a little tricky to want to use C# in the front end. To me, that feels a little weird. I'm just not totally sure that I see the overall application. But if you are looking where you need to build a very intense web app that has a high amount of models between the UI and the back end, and you don't want to reinvent that wheel, then Blazor may just be your thing. And honestly, if you're looking for building a really powerful web app that works inside of an intranet or something like that where you have full control, Blazor seems to be pretty universally accepted. Seems like it's worked across all modern browsers. But at the same time, I think it's tough to beat a full front end that uses TypeScript like Vue or Angular or any of these other front ends that are going to be a little more normal. I say Blazor may catch on in 2 or 3 years from now. I may go watch this video and think I'm an idiot. But overall, I think it's kind of tough to tell the rest of the world, the rest of the industry that they're off super far. So this will be interesting to see where it goes. Make sure you get your clean router to keep your kids safe online so that all of your internet connections are safe at home. Also, make sure you get your clean phone so that as your kids are carrying these things around, that they're staying safe and protected. And we will talk with you guys next time.